Hey guys, so today what we're going to do is take that angle grinder, the spindle that we built for last time. We built this one. We're going to end up putting a belt on this. So we'll make a small little belt sander. The reason why we're making a belt sander for this is because the belt will obviously last longer than the little tar paper that we glued onto the spindle there. But it will also provide a much better grinding surface. So this bolt, I just bought some of these bolts. They're number 8 and with 1.25 on the threads. So what we're going to do is find out the angle of that first. So this is basically how the grinder is going to be mounted on there. So we want to find out what that angle is so we can drill a hole through this. So if you notice, we'll make that little mark right there. Then we'll be able to take this bevel square, and this is how you use one of these. This is very useful for finding angles and making sure that you can keep the angle the proper one. So if you notice, you see the pencil mark there. With this bevel square, we'll just adjust it to where we're at that same line there. Very good. And so then we know the angle that we're going to be drilling that hole. So in order to find out where we're going to end up placing that hole, we want to give ourselves plenty of room on this piece of plywood. This is just a scrap piece of plywood off of an old shelf. So we're going to want to get this thing as far this way as we can and still have some meat inside the piece of plywood there to use. So basically it looks like the side's about that far over. And we're going to be, let's say, about right in there. So about that spot right there is where we're going to end up drilling this hole. So to do that, we're going to use my impact driver. I have some of these drill bits I bought from Home Depot. You can see they have the hex head on there, which works really nice on these impact drivers. So we'll place the bevel square there. See a little bit better. So we're going to want to keep it, as far as this way, we're going to want to keep it straight up and down, or square with the piece of plywood. But this is the part that we want it to angle. So get it pretty square that way, and then we're going to line it up with that angle. So right about that angle. There. So now we'll be able to attach the angle grinder to our piece of plywood. So we're going to use that same bolt, obviously. We're going to want to put a couple of washers in there. This is an 1.5 inch bolt. And then we'll put a couple washers on this other side. Get that threaded on there properly. Alright, so to tighten it up, we'll use a ratchet. It's a 13 millimeter on the socket. So we notice as it starts to tighten up, it's pulling that off. So we'll be able to get our tension that we're going to want on this by means of this U-bolt. I bought this also at Home Depot, and so it's a 2.5 inch U-bolt. It's actually for a 2 inch pipe, but they're 2.5 inches apart. So in order to attach this, what we're going to want to do is you'll kind of eyeball right across here to see how that we are square with the plywood. So we're going to want to put that thing right about in that spot right there. So in order to do that, we'll make a pencil mark here. A pencil mark here. Now these can be just put directly straight down in. We want to make sure that we get that as square as possible so that when it's finished, it looks nice. So it looks like that one's at about 1.5 inches over. This one over here is at 4.5. So we'll take that same drill bit that we used earlier, set it on that spot. Now, we set this on here. Put that U-bolt down into those holes. There. Place this bottom plate that is for the U-bolt on there. Kind of just double check that, make sure that we're still pretty square with the plywood. Tighten those things down a little bit. Not excessively tight because you're just tightening it up against the plastic of the angle grinder. So you just want it to get tight enough to make it snug. We'll go ahead and cut these things off now a little bit later. So the other part of our belt sander, we're going to use this. This is a caster wheel, and so as you can see here, I've taken an old door hinge and fastened it on here with just some number 8 screws, and they got the 32 threads per inch there. So I've fastened that side there to here, to this caster. In order to find out where we're going to be placing this, so the reason I've used the hinge is so that it can actually be tightened up, and we'll go through that process in a little bit. So we're going to find out about right where we want it. We want to keep it square and the same distance as this is. So we measure this over here to the belt. We have about 5.5 inches, and you can see about 5.5 inches there. So I want that belt to basically ride about in that area. And we want to give ourselves a little bit of room there for an adjustment either way. Okay, so now we'll mark this part right here. We'll make one mark right there so that we can kind of see where we're at. So we're going to still want to make sure that this is square. order to do that, we use just speed square as well. So make a nice little pencil mark there. That way we can keep everything running straight and that belt will flow right around there. So now in order to fasten this, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we use the same mark that we put for sideways. And we're going to take that top mark to the square mark that we just put on there. Hold it on there. Now we're going to only use the outside 2 holes. Okay, so now we have those 2 marked. We're going to take just the regular 1/8 inch drill bit, put it in our drill. Now these holes here, they can just be drilled straight down into the plywood. So get as square as you can. Do the same on this one. Be able to put that there. Take one of these. Now we're going to put a washer on each side on this one. So go ahead and actually let me get this Phillips head put back on here. Get that one started. Come over here and we'll get another washer put on there. All right. So now we have our bolts going through. So we're going to also have obviously a nut on the other side. Get a washer on each one of those. And we'll put a nut on there. That way we can tighten this down and keep it from moving. We'll also cut these off in a little bit so that they don't stick too far down past, so we can have this on a bench nicely. Get that to where it's nice and snug. You can feel it as it's kind of grabbing down into the wood a little bit. Alright, so now as you can see, this thing, as it's going to sit there, it will be able to adjust the tension. Now just as a test, what we're going to do is plug it in, and I'll show you the rest of this in just a few moments.